morning, internet. Two things. One, I have no idea sort of why I've started making these ridiculous motions where right before or when I'm making a video at home. I think I did it once because I wasn't sure how my Apple Watch worked, and now I find it really fun. And so I apologize if you feel otherwise about it, but I'm in control, at least of recording these videos for the moment, so if you give us strong feedback that we should cut it, I'll consider it. But otherwise, I'm just gonna do my own thing. And now, welcome to Friday. Today's Friday. I'm actually not sure why Friday is called Friday. It seems like a very Googleable thing, but I haven't Googled it, at least not recently. And so if anyone knows why Friday is called Friday in English, post in the comments and you'll get a figurative, if not literal, gold star. More specifically today, gonna run off to class momentarily, but wanted to make a video around the following topic, and the following topic, not specific to learning to code, however, I think very relevant to learning to code. It's just the phenomenon, the mental sort of phenomenon that I've found of when, when you find something such as a topic or subject area really dull, it can be interesting to try to trick yourself into finding interest in that. And what do I mean by that? So, for example, sometimes when I've been learning to program, learning to code, whether it was over the last few years on and off, or more specifically in the program that I'm in now, the idea of front-end web development, so what you see when you visit a web page or web app, that's all dandy, all good. And the idea of having a really elegant, slick-looking web page is cool. And in order to do that, you may use tools like CSS. But personally, I just find it really hard to get interested in CSS. I'm interested in the concept of making web apps and web pages that look really good, but modifying the individual pixels, it takes so much effort. And anyway, so what I've found is that sometimes the teacher or instructor or classmate or just someone in general in life will be talking about CSS because people in life just generally talk about CSS, so this example totally holds. But anyway, let's just imagine a scenario where someone's talking about CSS or working on building a button or a nav bar, navigation bar, or just a whole landing page or something, and you if you're like me, you give your first effort, just pure code like HTML, maybe some JavaScript, and you try to hook up a database because you're trying to be cool and make it a fully functional web app. But then it looks really crappy, and you're like, okay, no problem, I'll just use some CSS, and you spend an inordinate amount of time making your website probably look a little bit better, but sometimes a lot worse. And so just when we were in class, with the lessons with CSS, I'm gonna check my watch to make sure it's still recording, and it looks like it's connected. Oh yeah, connected to the internet. Or I guess it will be. I don't. Anyway, back to CSS and this whole phenomenon. When we would have the CSS lessons, I sort of knew mentally that this was very relevant if you want to make something that it looks good, that has a good user experience, that has, the potential to be big, because everyone wants to be big. But actually not everyone wants to be big, but in any case, I knew it's a relevant key tool, at least to understand, so that I can find collaborators, potentially teammates, maybe someday employees or co-founders or whatever, people who are really into design. So I understood that it was important. But after 2 minutes, my eyes would just start to glaze over, and I'd just be not thinking about the lesson, not thinking about the topic of flex grids or padding or kerning or any of this stuff. So anyway, This is just to say that sometimes you'll find something that's either really boring or really hard, and you will want to not pay attention, or you will just start not paying attention. And then there's this opportunity that presents itself in life, in that day, in that moment, of like trying to trick yourself into finding interest. And this is actually what I think the beauty of the whole concept, the whole frame is like when I find something is hard, when I find something is boring or dull, the idea of trying to challenge myself to find interest in it, trying to challenge myself to to find something that I can latch onto, that I can sink my teeth into, metaphorically, if not literally. Sometimes eating a little snack, a dose of blood sugar can help. But let's go back to CSS. Sometimes like thinking about how I can really dig into some part of CSS that I find interesting, and really lean into the challenge of finding something that is interesting. That to me, I think, really helps, because I have noticed in my behavior, in my experiences, that like le fait d'un changement, like the fait d'un défi, like the effect of having a challenge or a goal is really useful in like actually modifying my behavior. Because the fact that like I tell myself I can't do something, if I then accept a challenge mindset where I'm like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong, like